Hello again. This is Jay, the creator of the English with Jay project and the Essential English course. And you're listening to episode 28 of my weekly Essential English podcast. Today, we're going to talk about something exciting, about culture. Not any type of culture, but stolen culture. Isn't that cool? You'll be surprised what a big part of the art that we see in top museums is actually stolen. To understand why, we have to talk about history and world domination. We'll begin today's journey by stopping at the British Museum in London. That's one of the biggest and richest museums on the planet. It was founded almost 300 years ago. If you don't think that's long ago, let me tell you that 300 years ago, the United States of America didn't exist. They were not united and certainly not American. Most of them were French and the rest were British colonies. If you don't believe me, just look at this map from 1750. The British Museum is home to more than 8 million items, including some of the most famous pieces of art and culture in history. What most people don't know, however, is that part of them are stolen. If you follow the museum's recommended list of items, you will see a total of 12 artifacts, some of which are more than 1,000 years old. They are all incredible. The only problem is that almost half of them don't officially belong to the British Museum. The museum claims that they should stay there for the whole world to see. But many people and organizations are fighting to get them back to the countries they were taken from, like Egypt, Greece, and Nigeria. To understand how those artifacts ended up in the British Museum, let us look for some context in the past. Around 1680, the British Empire began occupying territories on several continents. This included India, current-day Canada, Australia, and parts of Africa. Great Britain became the largest empire in history, controlling about a quarter of the world's land and population. During its rule over those lands, the British took valuable resources and cultural artifacts from the locals. Many of them were brought back directly to the British Museum in London. Of course, the museum owns many of its items, as they were legally bought. The problem is with the pieces that were taken without the knowledge or the approval of the previous owners. This includes the first item you see when you walk into the museum, the Rosetta Stone. This priceless artifact was taken from the British soldiers from the French in Egypt. The Parthenon sculptures next to it were also stolen. They were removed from the Acropolis in Athens by a British lord and sent as a gift to the British Museum. But the items that are most controversial in the whole museum are probably the Benin bronzes. The Benin bronzes are a big collection of African art pieces used for religious rituals. They weren't just beautiful. They were a visual archive of the Benin Kingdom, part of current-day Nigeria. The locals didn't have an alphabet, so they used art to record the important events. In 1897, Benin lost thousands of those cultural items. At the time, European colonial powers were moving south to Africa. They split the continent into spheres of influence. Benin was in Britain's sphere of influence. The king of Benin was not happy with the occupation and refused to help the British. To teach him a lesson, they destroyed the city of Benin and took most of the historical and cultural objects inside, including the Benin bronzes. I think that's enough for today. I would love to know what you think about this stolen culture. You can watch a whole video on the subject right here. I'm Jay Milanov,